Today I'll just list out the rarest cancer types. So number 1 is chordoma. This happens in the skull base, spine or sacrum. And why is it rare? Because it grows from leftover embryonic cells, and almost everyone's body fully clears these cells before birth. So you need to retain these leftover cells and get the right mutation, two unlikely things in a row. Number 2, Kaposi sarcoma. This happens in the skin or mucous membranes, and it needs two rare things to happen simultaneously. One, a specific virus, HHV8, must infect you, and two, the immune system must already be compromised. One alone is not enough. 3 is Ewing sarcoma. So this happens in the bones and soft tissues. This requires a very specific accidental swap of genetic material between two chromosomes during cell division. So this particular accident is very unlikely to happen and very rare therefore. 4, epithelioid sarcoma. This happens in the hands, feet and soft tissue. So this cancer starts in a tissue type that has very few cells to begin with. So fewer cells means fewer chances for a cancerous mutation to occur. Then we have thymus carcinoma. This happens obviously in the thymus. So the thymus is a small gland that shrinks and becomes nearly inactive in adults. So a shrunken inactive gland has very few cells left that can go wrong. So number 6 is malignant meningioma. This happens in the brain and spinal cord lining, and the meninges is an extremely thin membrane with very limited cell numbers. So less cells means less cell division, means less chances for any mutations to happen in the oncogenes or tumor suppressor genes. Then there is adrenocortical carcinoma. This happens in the adrenal glands, and just like the thymus, the adrenal gland is also extremely tiny and it's roughly the size of a walnut. So very few cells combined with the need of a very specific hormonal mutation makes this very uncommon. Then there is mesothelioma. Mesothelioma happens in the lining of lungs and abdomen. So it requires decades of asbestos exposure to develop. And since asbestos use is restricted, so the exposure is extremely rare and so is the cancer. Next we have vaginal or penile cancer. So this happens in the reproductive organs, and the surface area of tissue at risk is anatomically very small. Secondly, it also requires infection with a specific rare subtype of HPV to trigger this malignant change. And then we have retinoblastoma. So this happens in the eyes of children only. So this requires a mutation of one specific gene, and the eye's retinal cells are only vulnerable during a brief window in early childhood. So if that window is missed, the risk essentially disappears.